is decided by the Supreme Court in its appellate jurisdiction.
Correct.
Any declaration in election tribunal or by the Supreme Court in appellate jurisdiction is covered under 162(1)(f). Not any power under 199.
No, थोड़ा सा और clarify कर देना. Election tribunal will exercise powers only under the law, which used to be the Representation of People's Act and now is the Election Act of 2017, correct?
My lords.
Therefore, when the Supreme Court is exercising such powers, it cannot have more powers than the Election Tribunal or the Election Commission of Pakistan. Unless you can show that the Election Commission of Pakistan and Election Tribunal can also disqualify for life, then that power, of course, will be with the Supreme Court as well. Otherwise, it will be an additional power given to the Supreme Court under 62(1)(f).
Mr. Khurram, could I just summarize what you're trying to say? You're saying that the declaration from a court of law under 62(1)(f), court of law is only the court of law under the plenary jurisdiction, plus the election tribunal, and as a consequence, the appellate forum that hears the election tribunal. These are the plenary jurisdiction plus these two which can give such a declaration. There can be no declaration coming from the High Court. In 199. That's what he's saying.
That's what I'm
saying.
What I am submitting is plenary jurisdiction for 162(1)(f) is only exercised by election tribunal and Supreme Court in its
आप दिखाइए ना, हमें law से दिखाइए ना. आप show us from the law.
That's what I'm saying.
Show us from the law.
Because PLD 2017.
Read the Election Act. Show us ROPA or Election Act.
My lord, ROPA में आपको दिखाता हूँ.
Powers दिखा दें election tribunal.
My lord,
are we going to ROPA first or Election Act first?
First, I'm going to the Constitution, and then I'll go to ROPA.
Ji.
And I'll refer the Election Act sections as well. Article 219 creates the election tribunal. It says duties of commission. The commission shall be charged with the duty of appointing election tribunals.
We come to the point.
Then Article 22 to 5, election dispute.
ये बात.
No election to a house or a provincial assembly shall be called in question except by an election petition presented to said tribunal and in such manner as may be determined by the Act of Parliament. Then Representation of People's Act, Section 52, which says how proceedings are initiated.
Representation of People's Act, Section 52.
My lords.
Okay, Constitution, you've relied on 225?
I relied on 219 and 225. 219 for the creation. 225 for the dispute resolution exclusive power.
And 62 or what?
Section 52 of Representation of People's Act.
Okay.
No election shall be called in question except by an election petition made by a candidate for that election, hereafter in this chapter referred to as the petitioner. Then Section 57, appointment of tribunal. Who appoints the tribunal? For the election petition under the Act, the commissioner shall appoint as many election tribunals as may be necessary. Then
aren't you undermining your own proposition when you rely upon Article 225, which is a very strong categorical language? No court. So how is the Supreme Court then can give a declaration under 62(1)(f)?
Supreme Court.
Read 225 again. It's very categorical.
That's why I've submitted. Supreme Court can only give in its appellate jurisdiction, coming from election tribunal against the decision of.
I think there are slightly two different propositions which you're mixing up. One is the competence of category of the court who can declare. First. Second is to what extent. For instance, in a civil suit, a civil court has jurisdiction to decree the plaint, dismiss the plaint. right? Or anything in between, reject the plaint or whatever. But it cannot tell a plaintiff to go and stand in the corner.
My lord.
That jurisdiction it doesn't have.
My lord.
Unless the law confers on it. Yes, you can ask the plaintiff to go stand if you're filing a frivolous suit.
My lord.
So let's not mix up the two concepts. Where if you read 225, it says no court, then that excludes the Supreme Court as well. Then the Supreme Court's power is only limited to acting as an appellate forum of the Election Commission of Pakistan or the Election Tribunal. Where will it get, where it is assuming additional powers from?
Because section 67 of ROPA gives
67.
Appeal lies to the Supreme Court. 67(3). G. Appeal from the decision of the election tribunal, it lies to the Supreme Court.
Please refer to that provision of the Election Act or ROPA, which says 62(1)(f) can entail a lifetime disqualification. वो कहाँ लिखा है?
मैं आगे आ रहा हूँ, मैं
अभी नहीं आया
आगे power of tribunal है, which says that
Where is that section?
आपके आर्ग्यूमेंट के मुताबिक तो फिर ट्रिब्यूनल ही कर सकता था ना।
That's it.
तो फिर आपके आर्ग्यूमेंट तो म्यूचुअली डिस्ट्रक्टिव नहीं है। व्हाट यू आर एक्चुअली ट्राइंग टू आर्ग्यू, मतलब कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सही किया या गलत किया?
मैं कहता हूं सुप्रीम कोर्ट कर सकता है, डिक्लेरेशन दे सकता है ओनली इफ इट हैज अरीजन आउट ऑफ इलेक्शन ट्रिब्यूनल।
ठीक है, अभी जरूर
कैन नॉट गिव डिक्लेरेशन ऑन इट्स ओन।
हाँ तो ये
फिर आप you are not supporting Samula Baloch. Then you're not supporting Samula Baloch.
To some extent I am, because in most of the cases disqualification arose out of election tribunal. In some cases they arose out of writ jurisdiction. In some cases they arose out of pre-election dispute.
You are only supporting those
I am only supporting those cases where they have gone through the trial.
Okay, ठीक है, I
They
got the
have
point.
recorded evidence.
Got that point.
Got the point. ठीक है.
तो आप कहते हैं कि प्री इलेक्शन
Position is totally changed.
वो नहीं आ सकते,
वो नहीं आ सकते because there is no evidence recorded.
वो
तो
वैसे
सिर्फ लिमिटेड हो गया ना, सिर्फ इलेक्शन ट्राइब्यूनल से जो अराइज कर रहा है।
My lord.
अब हम ड्यूरेशन की बात करते हैं।
पहले बस ये क्लैरिटी आ गई ना, इसीलिए पूछा था आपसे कि जरा वो आर्ग्यूमेंट कुछ
तो मैं इसमें सेक्शन 64 में पावर ऑफ द ट्रिब्यूनल है, इट हैज ऑल द पावर ऑफ अ सिविल कोर्ट।
नहीं वो ठीक है, I got it now.
अब आगे मैं सिर्फ ये दिखा दूं, ग्राउंड्स फॉर डिक्लेयरिंग इलेक्शन ऑफ रिटर्न्ड कैंडिडेट वॉइड, दैट इज अंडर सेक्शन 68, व्हाट एन इलेक्शन ट्रिब्यूनल कैन डू।
68 of ROPA.
That is section 68. The tribunal shall declare the election of the returned candidate to be void if it is satisfied that the nomination of the returned candidate was invalid, the returned candidate was not on the nomination day qualified for or disqualified from being elected as a member.
Wait a minute. On the date of submission of nomination paper, he was not qualified.
Yes.
So it means before presenting the papers, there must be some declaration that the person was not qualified.
My lord.
And in result thereof, his nomination papers should have been rejected straight away.